Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Anthony, welcome to Consulting Leader. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Guillaume. It's great to be here.
So let's jump straight into it. What got you into the lovely world of design and organizational consulting, Anthony?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you the short version, but back in probably around 2004 or so, actually before that, so I started my career working at Princeton University and then at the University of Pennsylvania. There is where I really discovered that I enjoyed the business side of organizations. So from there, I joined a small consulting firm around 2004 or something like that, and I really enjoyed it. So I started my own consulting practice in 2010, and I've had jobs and I've done consulting, and now I've started Foundations in 2010, and for about the past 4 years I've been doing only consulting. And you know what I really enjoy about it, and saw I really had a talent for it, is that I could go in and I seem to be able to see things that others couldn't see. And over time, I put together various trainings, various curriculums, and now our Foundations operating system to really understand how to accelerate businesses as fast as possible. So instead of, what I tell people is that you already have a system, we just help you get a good one.
I think that's a lot. So can you tell us a bit more about the problem that you're solving? Why is it about the systems and not the people? Like, what problem do you solve there?
Very, very good question. So let's take any organization that has great people. The organization may be running well, but it may not be running at full capacity. Because when you have good people, the problem is good people leave. And now what do? Well, you either have to hire someone who's just as good or hopefully better. But even if you do that, they may come in and do the job differently. So now you may have a supervisor who is supervising 3 or 4 people, that their previous supervisor did it one way. This supervisor does it another way. So there's always that level of confusion and that level of not being sure, that level of catching up, and all that costs organizations time and money. So what we do at Foundations, like we call ourselves, we don't call ourselves coaches or trainers or merely consultants. We do those things, but we call ourselves system architects, because what we do is we actually help you to architect the entire operations system for your organization. That way, if you have a great person who could develop their own system, or someone who's not quite as talented, once you have the system in place, now your organization can run. And the reason why this is so important, Guillaume, is that every visionary leader has a vision for their organization, how they want their organization to run, where they want their organization to go. But the problem is, when the operations can no longer keep up with that visionary leader's vision, that's where growth stops. And almost every organization that we work with, growth has stopped. People usually come seek us out when they're so frustrated that they've been stuck for 2 or 3 or 4 years and they can't can't achieve any growth, and they've tried everything. And then eventually they say, well, let's try Foundations. And then we go in, and usually within a year or so, most of our clients have doubled their revenue. Some, maybe I just had one client who actually tripled their revenue because they didn't understand the importance of having these systems in place. They just thought that they could continue to operate by the seat of their pants, right? But as the organization grows and the vision grows, the operations must keep up with that, or else it won't be able to support it.
Absolutely insane results. Like this is great. So tell us a bit more about who is it that you're servicing exactly? Like, is there a specific niche, a specific industry, a specific company size, a specific pain point that you solve with systems? Like, who is your ideal client, Anthony?
Well, our ideal client, it's more by size. We generally work with clients that are about between 500,000 and about 5 million. Now, I do sometimes work with some clients that are a little smaller, and sometimes clients that are even quite a bit larger. But that's generally our sweet spot. And we find that what's happening at that time, when you're between 500,000 and about 5 million, what's happening is that you start to need systems, right? The owner maybe has been doing this and then doing that and doing this and doing that, and it's a little bit chaotic, and they bring other people in who don't have that same ability to manage chaos as the visionary leader does. In fact, a big part of what we do and how we start off with every client at Foundations is we developed our DISC 360 assessment. Most of us have heard of the DISC, but we were dissatisfied with what was out there. So we created our own. It's a bit more sensitive than a lot of the DISC assessments out there. And it gives us the ability to coach a little bit more than what was out there. But that enables everyone in the organization to understand how everyone else in the organization is made up. What are their behaviors like? What things irritate them? How to best communicate with them? And when we do that, people can get along better in the organization, and it also helps the organization to grow faster because now we understand that it's not personality problems, it's more systemic problems. So what we're able to do is go in, help those organizations that are between $500,000 and $5 million to get the systems in place that they were lacking. Previously.
So, $500,000 to $5 million. Is
Right.
there a specific industry for that? Like a specific?
Well, we work across the board. We find that whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're for profit, we even do a lot of work with churches. It doesn't really matter your industry. When you're at about that size, we find that across the board, all organizations are having the same systemic problems. That they're all going from shooting from the hip to needing an actual operating system to help incorporate that vision that the leader has.
And who typically, so for the nonprofits, the churches, but also the for-profit organizations, who typically makes the decision to hire you, Anthony? Like, who is it that you need to get into the room with? Who is it that you need to market to? Like, who's that decision maker?
Well, I'll tell you, this is probably the most challenging part of what we do, right? Most people who call themselves consultants, they work on what I would call the visionary side. They may work with marketing, they may work with sales, but to actually create an operating system, the people who are most interested in that are the people on the COO side, the chief operating officer side. So they may be called operations manager, operations director. They might even be the administrative assistant, to be honest with you. So they're the ones who get most excited about what we do, right? They understand that there's a great need for this. But it's usually that visionary leader, that CEO type, that is the one that does the hiring. So a lot of what we have to do is educate that visionary leader that the reason that they're not growing is not because they need more marketing or they need more sales. I've talked with some leaders that they've tried sales and marketing 2 or 3 years in a row and haven't grown any because they don't understand that there's two parts of leadership, right? There is the visionary side of leadership, but there's also the administrative side of leadership. And if you're very heavy in one and neglecting the other, then you're not going to grow as an organization. So yes, it is the COO types that love us, but the CEO types that do the hiring, because they're the ones that generally do at that stage of an organization. They're generally the ones that do all of the hiring for an organization like Foundations.
So I want to double down on a few things that you mentioned here. So for me, the fact that the COO is going to be the person seeing the value in what you do, but the CEO, requiring the CEO of the buy-in completely makes sense. I think the problem that you're solving is super interesting because what you're talking about here is a leaking bucket. Like you have a good offer, you have good people, you have a good growing company, but arrives a level where if you don't have the systems, and I'm saying this with my lens of B2B coaches and consultants, because that's the space we play in. But like this happens, and I like the $500K to $5 million a year, because that's typically where indeed you start needing systems. Like you cannot operate everything on your own. And if you don't have the right people with the right systems and those systems and processes documented, it's just a leaking bucket. And you can triple ad spend, it will still keep on leaking and you will lose clients and you will have high churn. So that problem that you're fixing is essential. And it proves in the results that you get. Doubling or tripling a business in a year is quite something. So tell us a bit more about what has worked for you to market Foundation, to market your company, to get in front of the right people. What has worked for you?
Well, I'll tell you what's been really effective for us is we go and we do a couple things. We do various speaking opportunities. So there are as we all know, hundreds of organizations. And what I tend to do is I'll go and speak in front of an organization, and people who hear me talk, because they don't hear a lot of the sort of work that we do, right? So many people have never heard it, so they're intrigued. They want to know more because some people can see a need for that in their organization. So by going to various organizations and speaking at their conferences, we wind up getting a large part of our clientele. Probably the biggest way, though, that we get our clientele is word of mouth. Because if you have just doubled your revenue in a year, you probably want to tell somebody about it. So we get most of our clients by word of mouth. Secondarily, we get them from going to conferences. And now we're actually starting to do our own workshops that we're inviting organizations to. And that will be, I think, the third most successful way that we're getting our clients. We don't do much advertising online. I go on LinkedIn. I've gotten a couple clients off LinkedIn who've read some of my articles, but that's not a big way that we get our clients.
Just nurturing and brand building as well, which is kind of important. So the word of mouth for me is essential. I don't consider it as an acquisition channel for B2B coaches and consultants, simply because that's just the reflection, the byproduct of doing a good work, which is essential. Like we all start with referrals. And when you get someone to double their revenue in a year, they're going to want to talk about it, right? And it's a massive case study. But so referral makes a lot of sense. Speaking engagements and conferences, that's good. So let me drill down a bit on this. Like, how do you make the most out of conferences and speaking engagements? Like, explain us a bit the mechanism of you go out, you speak, you meet people, but then how do you move the conversation from awareness to, hey, actually, we might be able to help you?
Well, usually if I give a presentation, for example, then I'll offer something to whether it's my notes or my slide presentation, and people who are interested, they respond back to me, and then I of course follow up with them and make appointments and explain a little bit more about what we do, because people are usually they usually see the need for it, right? I've also written a number of books that sometimes we can sell at the conferences as well. Sometimes people read the books and then they contact us as well. But we find that, I don't know, we find that probably if there's 100 people in the audience, it's not unusual for me to follow up with maybe up to 10% of the people there. It's usually pretty high amount, because what we're talking about is, we try and concentrate, like for instance, if I'm doing if I'm working with a nonprofit organization, and I go and speak to a bunch of people who are nonprofit executive directors or nonprofit COOs, then if I talk about a subject like, does your board need, do you need any help with your board to make them a better board?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the answer to that question for me has been right around 100%. Right. So if I speak to them about how to make their board better, then everybody's super interested in that. Right. How do I make my board better? Well, they may buy our book, the Nonprofit Board, which your audience can find right on Amazon. And they may read that and say, wow, it's what we talk about, what we do at foundations is a level of detail that most people aren't used to, right? It's not fluff. It's not, well, imagine this or try this one thing. No, it's a real operating system that we can help your people to, one, understand what their role is in the board, how to conduct a board meeting, how to explain what the organization does. I mean, you would be surprised. Most people are surprised when I say this, that, and with a nonprofit board, if you have a nonprofit board of 8 or 9 people, 2 or 3 of those people won't really even understand what the organization does, which seems shocking, but it is continually the case over and over again. So if you don't even understand what the organization does, then how helpful are you going to be with that organization? Not very helpful. So some of these things are so basic that you would think it's very low-hanging fruit. But if you're only thinking about how do I grow the organization, then sometimes you forget some of those basic operations things that we come in, we help you with those. We give you, we named our company Foundations for a reason, because we talk about the fundamentals, the foundational things that you really need. And people are surprised that when we take care of the foundational elements of every organization, that's when the organization is able to grow.
I like that a lot. And being able to showcase this value in a speaking engagement allows you to convert 10% of those people, which...
Yeah, a speaking engagement is fantastic, because it's one thing to do a 30-second ad. It's another thing to speak to them for 30 minutes and explain, not only do I understand what their problems are, but I can give you several examples of how we can help you fix those, right? Yeah. So that is usually what people need with this. I find what they need with this sort of work.
Amen to that. What do you think about podcasts?
I think podcasts are great. I'm on a podcast probably once every couple months. I do a podcast, so I enjoy podcasts very much. I think they're fun to do. I've not gotten a lot of work from podcasts, to be honest with you, but I still enjoy them because I think it's important. Our mission at Foundations is to change the way business is done. Yeah, it's a large goal. We want to help. We want to help not 10 businesses, but tens of thousands of businesses or more. And to do that, doing podcasts fits that mission for me, because if I can help an organization, even if they don't become a client of Foundations, maybe they want to buy one of our books, maybe they can glean something from the podcast that will help them, because we really want to see organizations thriving, because it helps not only the organization to make more money and do better, but it also helps the people in the organization, the employees, to enjoy their jobs more, right? To have a better time at work. We have far too many people who hate their jobs, far too many. So the podcast is my contribution to try and help people to understand that it doesn't have to be that way. You can love your job. You can love what you do. You can wake up every day eager to get to work, rather than thinking, boy, what a drudge, and I can't wait until I retire, right? It doesn't have to be that way.
So I like the message a lot, Anthony, and I think so that's one of the powers of podcasts. Obviously, I'm going to be biased here, so small disclaimer. But it's a great platform to carry a message, that is for sure. So there is having a podcast and going on people's podcasts, right, which is two different things. But in either case, what you can do out of this is a lot of branding, right? And here I'm talking to you, but also through you, for anybody listening to us. Like, I understand that depending on where you're going to go, you're not always going to get much business from it. Depends how it's done. Like, you can repurpose so much of the assets. Like, you can use the episodes into your funnels. You can repurpose the content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, obviously, but also social media, website, articles, newsletters. Like, there is so much that you can do out of a 40 minutes interview that it's extremely strong for brand building. Closing the parenthesis. How do you go from, you've created that awareness, right? You've started engaging with those people after the speaking events or the conferences. How do you go from this to, hey, I'm talking to the COO here and potentially the CEO of a $500,000 to $5 million company, and you make them cross the finish line? How do you go from awareness to SOW, letter of engagement, we rock and roll?
Well, we do that in a couple ways. There's some organizations that want to start smaller, so we may do a small engagement with them. Maybe our DISC 360 we may do with the leadership team, or if the organization is well, they're never that big, so we may do it with the entire organization as well. Or we might do a workshop, maybe on the nonprofit board. We might do a workshop on supervision. Right. So we have several workshops that we do that we can start small and let people see the results, which are going to come pretty rapidly if they follow our counsel. So after that, then we may start our full Foundations operating system. And then there's some who just want to start with the Foundation operating system, right? They see the benefit of it. So we have different clients that want to start in different spaces, but that it's unusual for us after doing a presentation to get people who are interested. It's unusual for us not to do at least a small job with them. Afterwards. The hesitation that I find a lot of companies have is that what I hear all the time is that we've worked with consultants before and it was a waste of money. And I agree with that. There are a lot of consultants that would be a waste of money because they're not really contributing anything except for ideas. And ideas are good, but what you really need is an operating system. You don't just need good, you do need ideas. Good ideas are great, but you actually need an operating system, a way to say, well, I don't know all the things about how to run an IT system, about all the things about finances. I don't know about strategic planning. So we go in and we actually do something that will show them how to continue it themselves and something that they'll get great benefit out of. And we usually, it's unusual for us not to have some work once people get to the point of us having a conversation with them, especially if they've seen a presentation of ours.
Like that. This is the sample effect. Like you make them try a bit, you see that they're getting results out of it, and then they just want to get more because it actually works. So I think you've hit on a very important point here, which applies for consultants towards their clients, but also in general in the B2B coaching and consulting space, is anybody can claim anything on the internet nowadays. And I mean, I'm yet to find someone who hasn't been burnt before. The only thing I would say is don't let a bad experience burn you twice. The first time when you actually get burned, and the second time when you pass on an opportunity that could have been really helping you, but that you decide not to take because you're afraid of getting burned again, which is a very delicate and hard thing to do, don't get me wrong. But that's when we can pass on this message as a consultant or in the consulting industry, as long as our services are genuinely helping our clients, obviously. If we can pass like that message to our clients, this is where the magic happens, because everybody has been burned by now. It's just a matter of showing up, building trust, showing proof, and actually executing. I like the little sample, the like small engagement to show the value, and then continue with a deeper one. Which kind of answer the next question, which was around retention, but that you already made, Anthony. So I'm gonna move directly to another topic that I wanted to ask you about, which is, what's the next big thing for you? What's the thing that is maybe challenging you now, but that you're looking forward to fix so that you can take your whole business to the next level? I suspect it won't be systems because this part is nailed, but what is it for you?
Well, I mean, I don't know any business owners who don't want more business, right?
Right.
That would be very unusual. So I suspect everyone you ask, it has something to do with that. We want more business, and so what
happens?
What we're doing at Foundations is, I told you, I've talked about our workshops before, but most of my speaking opportunities have been going to other organizations and speaking at their organizations. So actually, starting next month, we're starting to do our own workshops with people that we invite, or that next month I'm actually partnering with another consultant who, like most consulting, his consulting is towards the CEO, right? So we're going to invite the CEO and the COO to come, and he'll talk directly to the CEOs. I'll talk directly to the COOs, but they'll both be in the room. So they'll both understand the significance or the importance of the other's role. But I believe, I can't say I found, but I believe that that's going to be another very significant way that we can bring people in. Because if you can come to a workshop and learn all about how to be a great supervisor, maybe bring some of your supervisors there, and instead of paying thousands of dollars, maybe just pay $100 to $200 for a full-day workshop, then they'll see the value immediately, and then they will want to go on to a more full experience.
That is a smart move indeed. Anthony, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Well, you can go to our website to see more about what we do. Our website is Foundations with an S, foundationsbc.com. They can email me at anthony@foundationsbc.com. And I'd love to have a conversation. We usually, many of our clients, we start off with a clarity call, which is only about 20 minutes so I can understand what it is that you need and if we're the right fit. What I don't like to do is push on you if we're not a good fit. So we do a clarity call for about 20 minutes to see if we're a good fit. If we're a good fit, we can then have a longer 1 hour conversation that I can actually start helping you solve your problems, even during that 1 hour conversation. I think it's so important to build that level of trust, to show clients that we do actually know what we're talking about, and we want to give something to them. So that's the best way. But you can reach out via the website, you can reach out with an email to me directly, and we'll get in touch and we'll have a conversation.
We'll put all the links in the description. What I can say for sure, Anthony, is that you've gained at least one LinkedIn connection out of this interview. Me, I just added you.
Wonderful.
Anthony, thank you so much.
Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time. How was that, Anthony?